Okay, welcome everyone to the September 3rd, 2025 general business meeting. I will ask that we stand and pledge allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Amendment and approval of the agenda. Sorry, while I get all set up here. Any proposed changes? I do have a couple of updates on that. So two of them were updated online, but I don't know when you printed out your packets. So there were some additions. So the online agenda reflects them, but today, so I just want to make you aware.
Okay.
There were two things. One was adding Brett Cecil to the Transportation Advisory Committee.
Okay.
And that's on the consent agenda. And the other was, we added the MOU agreement with the City of Brookings.
Are you adding that under consent? Or
No, it was under discussion.
Discussion?
Yeah. Let me pull up the online agenda real quick.
Do the same here.
It is. Oh, there we go. Hey, Brett. Lynn, can you grab that? Thank you. Okay, sorry, I had it pulled up. There we go. So it would be C.
See? Okay.
And that's the MOU?
Correct. They,
For Brookings.
yes. They just reached some initial consensus and agreement there, so was prepared for us to review. And those are the only two that I have. Did you have any?
I don't have any, no.
No, thank you.
Okay. Well, then I will entertain a motion to approve this amended agenda. Well, it's not really amended, but agenda as it's in its online form.
I will make a motion then to approve the agenda as stated in its online form.
And second.
Okay. Any further discussion? No. I'll call for the question. Commissioner Coker?
Aye.
Commissioner Hollinger?
Yes.
And I as well. Next up is public comments. And Mr. Cecil, yours landed on top. So, just got comfortable.
Not even barely. Good evening, commissioners.
Evening.
Good evening, everybody. It's good to see you all. Am I getting any sound there? Doesn't sound like it.
Yes, it'll be
All right.
online.
All right.
Yeah.
Again, thank you for having us all here together this evening. I specifically wanted to speak on the transit district issue. And I know that there's recently been announced some reduction in services for our transit district. And as you mentioned, I have applied to be on the advisory board as well. And I look forward to being involved there. So you've probably heard me speak in the past that I don't like to always come with a complaint. And if I do, I like to try and bring a solution. So I'm hoping to be able to provide some solution there for our transit folks. I think that's a really important thing for us to keep on top of in our county For a lot of people, it's the only means of transportation they have. It's a way that, I don't know how many of our veterans, but a lot of our veterans get to their doctor's appointments in county. It's also the way that we can get to Roseburg to get to the VA facility as well. I understand on top of all that, that Coos County District CCAT, their transit district is also undergoing some reductions in services the same way that we are. So that's going to affect their route getting from Coos Bay to Roseburg. So this will affect us in lots of different ways. One of the things I think that we should pay attention to as well is that our transit district really does have some effect on our county, not just for people getting around, it affects our economy. It does get people to places where they can go and shop and purchase things, see their doctor, etc. So it lets us participate in our economy even when we don't have a vehicle to get us places. So I think that's something that we need to keep in mind. It also gives those of us that use the transit district an opportunity to get another vehicle off the road. So I know every vehicle that drives on that highway has a little more wear and tear, not only on our vehicle and on us, but on the road itself. So those are some ways that we can help to reduce our costs for the highway. And I know I haven't had a chance today to see what's going on with the transportation bill that's being reviewed in the special session. So I haven't gotten an update today on where that is. Last I heard that it's passed the House and gone to the Senate. So fingers crossed that that's going to come through, that there's some transit money there that can help us bolster our transit situation here in Curry County. So I'll also mention that I know there are spaces on boards that are county boards and committees, and for the public who wants to be involved and help solve some of our issues here in the county, it's a great place to get involved and a way for us to participate in our county. So thank you again for letting me speak this evening, and I look forward to hearing from the rest of you in the evening, in the rest of the meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brett.
Thank you, Brett. And thank you for the little plug there for.
Absolutely.
Okay. Next up, Mr. Palmer.
Thank you. I'm Tim Palmer of Port Orford, and I wanted to speak to you tonight about the issue that came up last winter of the county taking interest or involvement, or as it was sometimes phrased, taking over management of national forest land. And I'm sure you remember at the time there was intense interest in this, with hundreds of people showing up at 3 different public meetings. And since that time, everything has been pretty darn quiet. And most of us, all of us actually, had no idea what was happening in this regard. But a news story did come out this past week about this. And it talked about the county plans to, I think, lease national forest land or otherwise become engaged in the management of federal lands in the county more than you are now. And I don't want to, and have no intent to recap the concerns about all this that were brought up last winter. There were way too many to get into here. But simply to say that we expected full transparency on this issue and to be notified and informed of whatever the commissioners were planning to do in these regards. And so the first time we heard about this was in the newspaper. And I'd like to ask, I guess, 2 questions. One is, will you be bringing this topic up in the discussion period at the end of this meeting tonight? And will you be, let's say, when will you be bringing this issue to the public again, since it's obviously being worked on now? So if you can answer either of those questions, it would be.
Could I answer them right now? Is that okay?
It'd be terrific, yes.
I addressed this on the August 1st and the August 6th meeting in detail, so this shouldn't even be a concern with leasing federal lands, but I'm happy to discuss it again further in the meeting.
I would. I'm going to stop your time, case. So normally we would put this under the commissioner comments after public comments, but it is a topic that I know that is of interest. The article was not accurate, and so obviously that's a little frustrating. It was a bit gaslighty. It's a good neighbor authority agreement with the with the Forest Service, which was essentially the initial intention. How the whole 80,000 acres thing got brought up I own that. It's on me, not on Patrick, not on Commissioner Coker. We were looking at, we had a public meeting, and we were discussing revenue generating ideas. And I said, I wonder if the federal government would lease us any timberland, merchantable timberland, that they already manage in that fashion, that we could manage at the local level and earn some receipts off of. And I threw out 80,000 acres, right, of the 750,000 federally owned acres in our county. That's how that got spun into that, where you read about it by Mr. Higginbottom's article. Now, I probably failed. I could have corrected some of that. He reached out for some comments, and I missed the comment period for him, so he went off of just not real information. So the reality is, the 80,000 acres thing was just it was a conversation piece that I put out, and but the reality is, and if you notice, the very last paragraph of his article is when he discusses the good neighbor agreement with the Forest Service. So it was a very long article, and then the last paragraph was actually the truth. So I'm sorry. I know it got a lot of people riled up, so I'm glad that you brought it up, because it's good to get this taken care of. Yeah.
And I was planning on addressing that during this meeting as well. That article
The end,
is
the
totally
discussion
false.
period at the end of the meeting, do you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, Tim. Okay, next is Gigi de Blasio.
Well, I suppose we'll be discussing that at the end of the meeting.
Okay, fantastic. And next, Gigi, did you want to not come up?
Well, it was pretty much the same
Okay.
thing, and you stopped us.
Perfect.
And, it did kind of feel like a backstab. I didn't happen to be here. I was in the hospital on August 1st, so I missed a meeting.
Yeah,
So I did miss that time, and it was like a slap in the face since we had previously had an outcry.
sure.
It kind of felt like being stabbed in the back, so.
Okay.
I'll wait until the end of the meeting for the discussion.
All right, well, thank you.
Take up more time now.
Yeah. Jennifer Boardman.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for letting me have this opportunity to speak. I am Jennifer Boardman. I am with the Public Transportation Division of ODOT, and I cover the 5 counties of Southwest Oregon to help with compliance, to help with their grant funding, and then also technical assistance. Curry County had a compliance review back in November, and more than likely you saw that report probably in February, March. Your staff, you've had a lot of staff turnover, but the staff that you currently have been really working hard to try to get those compliance findings resolved. There are still a couple of outstanding findings. One of the main ones that I wanted to address with you tonight was one of the findings that they asked the compliance reviewers was to have the Board of Commissioners or the governing body have a training on public transit, the funding types, and how that funding gets out to the public transit providers. So that is one of the things that I would really like to see. That hasn't come to pass yet, and I know you are all very busy with all the different things that go on within the county, but would like to try to at a work session or whatever, schedule that. I am based out of Medford, so I can come over anytime and would be happy to do that. It typically takes about an hour to an hour and a half to do that training, and it's very informative. It gives you a lot of information about public transit, the importance of public transit, and the funding sources. And there is a lot of brouhaha going on about the funding, as you probably are all reading. but there is a lot of public transit in Curry County. For a small county, you have a lot of ridership. You have a lot of older adults and individuals with disability that ride the bus, and it's very important. And veterans, as stated. So I would really like to be able to come and provide that. And then the other topic that I wanted to bring up, and I know that your staff is working on this and you're looking at having an auction to get rid of some older vehicles. Each vehicle has to be in service. If it isn't in service for 90 days, then the state will either ask you why you haven't sold that vehicle or donated it or whatever you are going to do with that. Those funds are really vital for your public transit to be able to purchase additional vehicles in the future. So I really highly recommend all of those vehicles. And I think you guys have about 7 or 8 vehicles that are needing to be sold. And so really I'm here to encourage you to sell those so that they can use those for a grant that they have to purchase new vehicles. And as you all know, your guys' roads are really bad. And sorry, I work for ODOT, but the roads are bad. And it's part of your terrain, but it beats up your buses. And so it's really critical for those buses to be sold, the money put away for future use.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Real quick, what I would like to do is schedule that workshop. Probably need to in the next 45 days.
Perfect.
Let's get that done. That's an easy check the box.
Does it have to be face-to-face, or can we do it Zoom?
I can do it virtually, or I can come over, either way.
Okay.
Oh, perfect. Well, if we're doing it together, we'll have to notice it as a workshop, and then, yeah,
Correct.
but perfect.
And anybody can attend because it's great information.
Okay, so, thank you.
All right, Thank you.
Next is Georgia Cockerham.
Georgia Cockerham, Curry County resident, Brookings. My comments are in reference to the August 6th business meeting, during which Commissioner Coker began speaking about 2 hours, 10 minutes into the meeting. The crux of his garbled talk seemed to be public warnings of what would happen when Commissioners Trost and Hollinger are replaced on the board. Throughout his statement, Mr. Coker used the word they without telling us who they are. Quote, I know for sure they're going to stop the process for the forensic audit of the last 4.5 to 5 years of our sources of revenue and the places that it went, unquote. Well, during the past 12 months, the commissioners have multiple times mentioned the need for a forensic audit. And last year, it was Sheriff Ward himself who suggested an audit. He knows that all income and expenses for the sheriff's office go through and are approved by the county finance department. The commissioners have delayed the audit. Commissioner Coker again, quote, the other thing they're going to stop is that they're going to stop the board's efforts to ensure that in our county that relies upon the direction from the board, what's going to stop is the focus on professionalizing how our leaders bring about adhering to county policies and practices, unquote. It's garbled, but is he suggesting that the current commissioners are professional in how they adhere to county policies and practices? I disagree. Consider Commissioner Hollinger's blatant false accusation against a sheriff's office Marine deputy, or his verbal attack mistakenly blaming the sheriff for the contents of a letter the sheriff did not write. And when a formal complaint was filed against the county director of operations, none of the commissioners took action. And where is the professionalism in Commissioner Coker's propaganda about which I speak? He may think himself omniscient. However, he has no idea who will replace Commissioners Hollinger and Trost. Mr. Coker rambled on, quote, the other thing that's going to happen is the essential investments that we need to make in infrastructure. They will never, ever happen when these men leave the board, unquote. That's a juvenile scare tactic. Relating to his role as a board commissioner, Mr. Coker stated, quote, one of the jobs I've got as their partner is to support them so that they can keep their eye on the ball, unquote. And later, quote, my job is to make sure that we have continuity and stability within this organization, unquote. Commissioner Coker, you have seriously misunderstood your position. Though Commissioners Trost and Hollinger may have put you in that seat to keep them propped up, the public does not pay you to be a cheerleader. You are paid to find solutions to rising crime, open drug use, homelessness, prostitution, and reduce safety within Curry County. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Georgia. Next is Diane Robert.
Good evening, all. My name is Diane Robert. I am a resident of Gold Beach. I have the opposite opinion. I support both you, Jay Trost, and you, Patrick Hollinger. You both are working your butts off. You're doing a fantastic job. Please continue on. Please keep fighting for Gold Beach and Brookings and all of Curry County. You're doing good. Stay with us. We need you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
And last but not least is Leonard Phillips.
Commissioners and audience, my name is Leonard Phillips. I'm a resident of Gold Beach, and I'm here to offer my support for the board. One of the things that is completely necessary in any community, especially in a small community, is communication. The communication needs to come from both sides of this, and if you use the analogy of a baseball team and your favorite player strikes out on his first attempt, do you bench him? Or you had enough faith in him to put him in that position and let him play? Or do you continue to see what this person's going to do? And I think these snap judgments that people are moving towards are not going to help anybody, because when you strip all of this stuff away, basically it comes down to money. Now, let's just say this recall happens, and let's say it goes to a vote, and let's say the vote is for the commissioners to stay in their position. Then does the county have the ability to go back to whoever created this situation and recoup the money that is used to do this recall? Or do we give these gentlemen a little bit of time to see what they can do before we bench them? So think about that. Do you want to, they strike out, or do they get a home run? You need to look at the body of what they're doing, not something that you personally agree or disagree with, and allow communication to happen, and that's what fixes things, communication. Thank you.
Thank you, Leonard.
Thank you. Thank you, Leonard. Okay. Next up is the consent agenda.
I don't have any discussion on this or anything, and I'd be willing to make a motion unless Lynn has anything he wants to talk about.
I would only make a comment about one of the items, and that's the item G. It's the approval of the deferred comp plan. And I just wanted to highlight that on at least from a group of employees that the taxpayers provide our checks, I want to thank you for the deferred income plan that is made available to all of our Curry County employees.
We're very grateful for that. Not everybody that goes to work in Curry County has the opportunity for a plan like this. And so thank you very much. Thank you, fellas.
Then, do you have anything you want to?
The only thing I'd just echo Mr. Cecil, all the folks who are wishing to be a part of the Transit Advisory Committee, that's fantastic. And thank you for your service on that committee. It's a very important role. It's a very vital role. Thank you for that. And the other thing I just want to discuss real quick is item E. And that's the 25 to 27 Community Corrections Plan and State Intergovernmental Agreement. A lot of people may not understand, or not understand, but may not have been aware in the past. So how this works is the local Public Safety Coordinating Council, which is comprised of several different public safety entities, including our appointed Commissioner Coker, who sits on that to represent the board. They discuss this corrections plan, the community corrections plan, and the corrections lieutenant, our community corrections lieutenant, which is basically adult parole and probation, provides this plan, and the funds for parole and probation come from the state. And so it is a state-funded department that we have a really good team of individuals on that parole and probation department. And so that is for the 25-27 biennium, which is great. So did you have any comments on that at all?
No, I think you summarized it great. And we've got the LIPSIC, the commission that is to review that and present it to the board, has reviewed it, and they came back with a unanimous vote of confidence in it and asked us to proceed.
Yeah. Great. And then also just congratulations to Trista Donaldson for the promotion to Deputy Clerk 3.
Yep.
So that's pretty good. All right. With that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as listed.
Second?
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Commissioner Coker.
Aye.
Commissioner Hollinger.
Yes.
And I as well. Next, we're going to enter into our public hearing for the Curry Transit public transit service reductions. So it is currently 6:28. We will officially open this hearing. And I'll have you come up and provide us with the information we need.
I'm Catherine Bernhardt. I'm the manager of Curry Public Transit. Curry Public Transit is the only public transit in Curry County, and we do contract with the county to provide these services. We've been doing it for close on to 25 years. I've been with transit for 19 of those years, so it's a passion for me. I'm very proud of what we do. I am absolutely heartbroken that this has come to this, to cut services. It's the last thing I ever wanted to bring to anybody, but we have basically no choice. The federal government provides 42% of our funding through a 5310 grant and a 5311 grant that supports the dial-a-ride services and the general services of Curry Public Transit. Unfortunately, those grants are on, I guess you call it hiatus. They are not going to be approved or signed or available for drawdown until possibly as late as March 2026, even though we have applied for and been granted those as of July 1, 2025. What this means is that I have a 42% deficit in funding, and we are just a tiny little nonprofit that doesn't have the funds to carry us through for that much money. So what I provided to you in this, and there's extra copies if anybody needs it, is kind of a recap of how our funding happens per quarter. And anything in blue is the funding that's going to be delayed. That is about $109,000 per quarter that we'll have a deficit. The only way to get through that is to cut back on our services to try to save money. We do not want to stop Curry Public Transit. We think it's valuable. We do not want to end it at all. We want to keep going. So I'm proposing to eliminate temporarily, until we get these funds, the Saturday service for Dial-A-Ride and Brookings and for the Coastal Express, and to cut back the services for Dial-A-Ride and Brookings to 8:30 to 3:30 as opposed to 8 to 4:30. And the Dial-A-Ride in Gold Beach will have to cut back to 3 days a week as opposed to 4. And the dispatch hours will have to cut back by about an hour and a half a day. On top of that, our highest paid employees have volunteered to do a payroll deferral of 75% of their payroll. So that's going to help boost the money that we'll have available to operate. We anticipate a savings enough to be able to operate the services on a limited basis until we see these reimbursement funds come through. Any questions? Jennifer, do you have anything to say?
You need to come up to the microphone so the folks at home can hear you.
The only thing that I would say is that the federal government takes a hiatus during the month of April, or October. So PTD has been rushing to try to get all of the grants that we have that are in kind of the hopper. Our transit providers apply for those funds, and then we have to put in an application with the federal government in order to get those funds. So those funds, those applications are sitting, waiting for the federal government to approve them. With their hiatus that they take every year in October, we don't anticipate them probably approving those until November, December, which means then we can't draw that money until January, February, March. We're hoping that they can move faster, but with the cutback at the federal level, that's created a bottleneck in the grant approval. So that's what's part of the delay. And then in addition, the STIF funds, which are the state funds, were lower just due to lower payroll that was received, and then also additional funds that were taken out for departments to process those funds. So with that lower amount that they got from state funds and then the delay, that's part of the reason that they're having those cutbacks. And for the employees to be able to, or be willing to sacrifice their salaries, 75% of their salaries, in order to keep this afloat, it shows that they understand the need for this to continue. So that's.
Thank you.
We are not alone in this. If you read the newspapers, every transit service in Oregon is facing these issues.
So I have a question. I honestly don't know. Does this have anything to do with Oregon being a sanctuary state and the federal government wanting to not now give grants to our state because of that?
I don't believe so, because we have that temporary injunction that allows us to get the funding, and that was one of the reasons that we were rushing to try to get these applications through the process. If they're obligated, then those grant funds have to go forward. So I don't believe that that's the case. Part of the reason is that they've had a reduction of staff. We are Region 10 for the FTA. They went from a staff of 27 down to a staff of 12. So instead of having 27 people reviewing the applications, they have 12 people reviewing the application. So just that process has reduced that, the efficiencies of trying to get those funds out the door. Not to say that it couldn't in the future. I don't know what's going to happen because the court case is not finalized until, I think, October 15th or something like that. So we'll see what happens with that funding.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. And I would like to say that to those folks who are willing to forego some of their 75% of their pay to keep this service functional, bravo. I mean,
Thank you.
it takes pure passion to do that, and I would hope that we can have some discussions in the immediate future on possible solutions that we could, especially if we are anticipating that this money will come through. It's just a matter of timing.
That's exactly what it is. It could be March.
Yeah.
The deferral pay, of course, will be paid back to those of us who
Right.
decided to do this. They can't.
But I'm curious if there's not a way we can navigate this together to bridge the gap, and
To
then
have a sit down with all of you.
yes, and I will put that. I will reach out to you tomorrow.
I appreciate that.
Would that be a workshop?
Would be,
Okay, good.
yes.
When we do have that workshop, what I'd like to do is I want to peel the onion back a little bit relative to the implications for the employees that are going on a 75%.
Actually,
Cut?
there's just two of us.
Two of us?
There's only two that are on salary in our bus. All of our drivers and the support staff are part-time. Most are retirees, but they are going to be taking a cut too. They'll see every individual, we have like 15 employees, is going to take a cut to their pay, but not as big as the salaried people. And we did volunteer to do this. We are fortunate enough that we can do this. So, that is the least of my worries. What I want to see is service restored.
Of course.
To be able to help the people that we help. 95% of our passengers in Brookings are either elderly or living with a disability, and about 60% of the people who ride the Coastal Express are those categories, and I'd say about 15% are veterans. These are the most important people in our community, as far as I'm concerned, and my issue is I don't want to cut service, but I have no choice.
Well, I will reach out to you tomorrow, and we will further these discussions to hopefully come up with some type of a solution. It may not be the whole thing. It may not. We may not even fight. We may not even fight one. But it can never hurt to have the discussion.
That's true, and that would be. I'm open to that.
Okay.
And thank you for the steady hand during the storm on the steering wheel. That absolutely.
And I'm going to walk out on a limb and assume that you're one of the two people.
Yeah.
And that's incredible leadership.
Mm-hmm.
That is very incredible leadership.
I appreciate that, but it
Yes.
was not. It was not. It was an easy decision for me. Transit is critical to this county. We are so small and so impacted by people who are disadvantaged that I really feel passionate about being able to provide a service.
Sure. Yeah.
So I
Okay.
was hoping to have a joint meeting with the advisory committee, but 3/4 of my advisory committee either got sick or went on vacation. So I will have that afterwards to make sure that that advisory committee has the information too.
Sure.
But I do need
Well,
approval for.
yeah. So I think today we'll be prepared to approve your proposed adjustments. But I hope that we'll be able to approve something in the future that may get us somewhere. So, is there anything else?
No,
Okay.
make sure you knew what's going on.
Okay.
Is there anything the community can do right now to help you guys out?
Just be supportive of our drivers and make sure you treat them nice.
I haven't ever used it, but
Oh, you should. It's a lovely ride.
my stuff's too far. I go to bed.
I wish there was a way for the community to help, but we are federally and state funded. We don't have any community income at all. In the future, that could change. We would hope that would change, but.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just curious if there's anything we could do.
Thank you.
I highly
Gigi.
encourage everyone to ride the bus if you've never had an opportunity to ride the bus. The drivers are very engaging, and then also getting to talk to the passengers. I've been able to ride every single one of the routes that is in my service area, and the stories that you get and why the people are riding the bus is pretty amazing.
That's great. Okay, well, if there, Mr. Cecil,
If I may, Mr. Chair, and I want to keep Kathy here because.
you are newly appointed to the advisory committee.
Thank you. I do have a point of interest, and I really appreciate the compensation deferral that the employers are doing. My question is, any benefits that are supplied to the employees, will those continue while the compensation is deferred, or do you know?
We have so few benefits as a nonprofit. We
Yeah.
have vacation and sick leave, period.
So that's still accrued?
Yeah. I'm going.
Because my question was if you have any insurance coverage or any of those types of
That's
things
still-
for employees to make sure that those benefits continue.
Yeah, they will continue.
While
Those are not part of
taking a
the
75% cut,
Yeah.
at least the benefits would continue. So
Yeah, they do.
thank you for answering the question, and thank you for the time, Chair.
Okay. Well, with that, if you're good, I'll call for a vote.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'll entertain a motion first to approve the amended service reduction plan.
I'll make a motion to approve the amended transit plan as presented.
I second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All right, I'll call for the question. Commissioner Coker.
Aye.
Commissioner Hollinger.
Yes.
And I as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We will officially close this public hearing at 6:42. And now we will go back into our regular session. And first up is discussion action item A. Yeah, go ahead. We'll let you head on out.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. All right, here we go. Suicide Awareness Prevention Month. We have a proposed resolution. I will get to the bottom of my packet here. You have it?
I do.
Perfect. Okay. Would you mind reading it?
Not at all. So the purpose of this next agenda item is to highlight the fact that September is the month of suicide awareness and prevention. And Curry County is attempting to take a big bite out of the apple relative to emphasizing how important this is. So some of the things that we can accomplish by honoring the fact that suicide is an issue in Curry County, one of the things we can do is recognize some of its source. And there's no question about it that the rate of mental illness and the corresponding attempts of suicide are driven in part by the addiction cycle that has unfolded throughout the county in the past years. The other is that we're more than just a little bit clumsy relative to consistently delivering spot-on mental health services within the county. And you combine those kinds of things all at once, and it does create an underlying tragedy. But nonetheless, there can be things that we can do for our families and for our neighbors. And by participating for the period of September in an awareness of what suicide is, what are the drivers, what are the consequences, because there is an enormous ripple effect associated both with the mental illness as well as the activity itself. There is also an opportunity during the month of September to become further aware of what's going on in our own families, in our own neighborhoods, because as a result of it being a focused element in September, we have the opportunity to, with passion and courage, to go out and publicly acknowledge that there are these legitimate issues that individuals and families are going through, and we not be ashamed to talk about those kinds of difficult matters. So not only do we have the opportunity to create an enhanced level of awareness for the issue within our families and our neighbors, but we also have the opportunity to acquire skills, knowledge, and familiarity with tools. Tools that we can recommend to our citizens, to our neighbors, to our kids that show up needing this kind of support. And one of the things that we've got is here tonight on the slide is just one of the simple tools amongst a bag of tools that are available for families and for neighbors, but it is the 988 hotline that is available for mental health issues, particularly those that are driven towards suicide. Now, there's two different flavors of this number. The vanilla flavor that's suitable for everybody that wrestles with the notion of suicide, whether it's the sufferer, the person that's ill, or whether it's the parents, or whether it's a loved one. They can dial that 988 number and seek medical support, mental health support for that ailment. And then we have a subgroup of people, and that's going to be in particular our veterans in Curry County. Because of the preponderance of veterans, you know that that illness, that mental illness associated with suicide is apparent in that community. And that number has been, it's a rarer number. So it's 988 and then 1. And that takes the caller straight into a group that's suitable to talk meaningfully in terms that the veterans may find more responsive to their situations and their concerns at that point. And so it's with that kind of a background that the board has agreed to step up and to resolve to honor and invest ourselves in awareness and study in hopes of preventing suicide in Curry County. And if I could, I'd like to read that resolution and
Please.
seek adoption. So it goes like this. In the matter of a resolution proclaiming September 2025 as Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month, whereas suicidal thoughts can affect everyone, and suicide is a major public health issue that requires vigilant attention and preventive action, and whereas each death by suicide directly impacts family members, friends, loved ones, and by extension our entire rural community, and whereas research shows that people would do something if someone close to them was thinking about suicide, if they only knew what to say or do. Know, therefore, the Curry County Board of Commissioners hereby encourages all citizens to be aware of the warning signs of suicide and to know what they can do to help. Know, therefore, be it resolved that September is Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month, dated this 3rd day of September 2025, and I ask the board to accept that resolution.
100%.
Yes, well done.
Thank you, Lynn.
Yes, thank you. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adopt this resolution identifying September as Suicide Awareness Month.
I so move.
And I will second.
Okay? Any further discussion? No. Hearing none? I'll call for the question. Commissioner Coker?
Aye.
Commissioner Hollinger?
Yes.
And I as well. Perfect. Okay, next up is the 2527 jail-based medication for opioid use disorder, JMOUD grant solicitation. And before we get into this, I do want to acknowledge a few things. The sheriff was requested to participate in today's meeting. We have been discussing this for
just about a year.
Commissioner Coker. You may not, or you may be aware. I think you are aware. I think you were present for many of the meetings. that we were attempting some workshops to which the jail lieutenant and the sheriff stopped attending. And so I requested the sheriff's presence here today because it is my opinion that we need assurances from the sheriff to move this forward, taking on the financial risk. Those assurances are not difficult, that we will have full and complete cooperation from the sheriff's office for any of the information needed, that our finance department will have access to any of the information needed, reliant to the grant itself and the parameters that are agreed upon. And so, Lieutenant Crone, I thank you for continuing to present this, and I appreciate you going about it this time. Last time I know there was some confusion, and this time you definitely are following the grant procedures and getting BOC approval to apply for the grant. This is not a discussion to receive the grant. This is a discussion to apply for it. However, I am a little disappointed. We did offer that if the sheriff couldn't make it because it was put on as a time-sensitive matter. It was a late submission. I acknowledged that and offered that we could have a special meeting to ensure his participation so we could get those assurances in moving this forward for the county and the citizens. But we have Lieutenant Crone in front of us, so we will.
So Lieutenant Crone, Curry County Jail Commander. I just want to address a couple of things that you had mentioned. This was put on. Sorry, this was put on as a late submission. We found out late last week that this was.
You're gonna want to. Yeah.
Yeah. That we found out late last week that this grant solicitation had opened up on the 27th, going through the process. Over the weekend, so the sheriff isn't here today because over the weekend we had a tragic capsized boat that he's been working on all week. We also learned late this afternoon that there's numerous smoke columns up the Rogue River, and he is out dealing with that. So it's not that he didn't want to be here. He's got some other issues to attend to, and that's why I'm here. Like you said, this is not a discussion about accepting the money. It's about applying for the money. This grant is a biennium. So like last year, we only had 10 months to spend the money. This year, we have 2 years once it's approved. It's a formula grant, so this grant, you apply for it. As long as you check the boxes, meet the criteria that this Criminal Justice Commission asks for, they send the money. And then we just have to follow up with the grant reporting after that. It is my intention to mirror the grant from last year with some caveats that we already purchased some items that were in that grant. So we're going to move that forward into helping pay for medical staff for 2 years versus 10 months, and also to bring in another support person who will help with the wraparound care for people who are leaving custody. So that person's job duties would be setting them up with medical appointments, getting them on their OHP, and just making sure that that handoff happens back into the community. That's one of the areas in our jail and the community that we see people fall through the cracks, is we provide everything in jail, and then they get released and there is little to nothing. So we're trying to bridge that gap. Mm-hmm. Last year there was some concern about the medications that would be administered. That's part of bringing on this other nurse to help administer those meds. I don't get to pick the meds. That's our prescriber. She meets with everybody. She has a in-depth conversation with them. If it fits their lifestyle, she prescribes one versus the other, and there's that follow-up.
So, Lieutenant Crone, what I have in front of me, we have an October 9th grant application due date.
Correct.
you're pretty much going to apply for the same language as last time. So hopefully there won't be a ton of changes that need to be made in your application. So what I would offer is that we will establish a special meeting anytime in the next, well, prior to this grant application being due, where we can have the sheriff attend and get those, get some of those assurances knocked off the board so we can get this thing moving forward.
That is a conversation with the sheriff.
Sure. No, I know.
I have last year's grant application, so I mean, I can tell you what.
I still have a copy.
Yeah. I think we all still have copies of it. The biggest hangup that we have is the month that we're allowed to apply for it also falls right in the middle of the off-site jail inspection and accreditation. So not only are we trying to get this through this month so we can apply for the $323,000, but we're also working towards getting our jail accredited.
Yeah. So what I would say is this. I would say please give us like a 2-day notice at least, so we can at least notice it 24 hours in advance. We will set up a special meeting where we can just knock this out before the October 9th due date. Hopefully well before, so it's not pressing everything else. And I mean, I'm more than willing to make sure that we have that meeting and show up to it so we can discuss those. Commissioner Coger?
I'm fine with that as a critical pathway to triggering a conversation about pursuing the grant, actually getting it in. But it's done within the context of there's a very large elephant in the room. And it has to do with the separation of the sheriff's organization from the efforts of the board in our role as attempting to be stewards on behalf of our taxpayers. So I don't want to pretend like somehow that elephant is going to go away as we go down a path that's familiar to all of us, because this is the same grant that brought about much of the heat and much of the turmoil last year. I sat on the other side of the dais then. It was uncomfortable then, and I want you to know that it is uncomfortable still. But with that said, what I've discovered sitting on this side of the dais is that there has been an opportunity to lift the tent a bit and look under relative to the quality of executive management that Sheriff John Ward brings to the department for which he is elected to run. I have seen in depositions where misinformation, obscuring of information is a standard approach of our sheriff relative to the process that is unfolded, where the courts are requiring him to provide information so that parties that are wrestling with the effective, high-integrity delivery of services through the Sheriff's Department is done consistently. The answers that are coming back sometimes are absolutely, simply inaccurate. And I'm going to give you an example, you being those in the room and those of our taxpayers. Just a couple weeks ago, we had a deposition. The sheriff, before the attorneys, in a court-required deposition in order to establish fact.
And under oath.
And under oath, had the opportunity in the opening questions simply to accurately say, Sheriff Ward, have you been deposed before? Yes. How many times? A couple. And the last one was a couple years ago. We know that to be false. That deposition was taken the latter part of August, when we all know, or many of us know, that in February of 2025, there was an extensive deposition that the sheriff was involved with in an incredibly serious matter where we had somebody perish while under the control of our sheriff's department in jail. They didn't die in jail, but they were under the care of our organization. And I'm wondering, why would that information be delivered under oath to a group of men and women who are working really hard, both in the courts and within the county and surrounding the sheriff, to get the facts on the table so we can clear the air and move forward, and yet, at the very beginning of the deposition, we have misinformation injected into the testimony. And the misinformation persisted throughout that deposition, with claims not to remember, not to recall, not to understand. And so I don't for a minute, not for a minute, think there is an intentional misrepresentation of facts. But what I do understand, the possibility of a failure of competency for whatever reason, competency and clarity. And those matters will be surfaced again, not just by me, but they will be evident in other court proceedings, and they certainly are going to be a part of our going forward conversation with the organization called the Sheriff's Department, especially when we're looking at absorbing hundreds of thousands of dollars in funded obligations for which we're accountable that involve substances that are addictive in their own right, that are powerful in their own right, with very, very damaged people under our care. So we've got to be able to talk about that, and we're going to need the sheriff's help to get through this. And simply not showing up isn't going to get it handled. We'll be right back where we were 12 months ago. And I want to avoid that. But we will address the elephant in the room. So thank you, Lieutenant, for coming tonight and giving us an opportunity to look at this grant, because it is incredibly important. And thank you for your patience to let me lay the groundwork, a portion of the groundwork, that will be a part of our going forward discussion publicly. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Coker. One thing I would like, or a few things I'd like to point out. We're already liable for this program. It's funded right now through general fund dollars to the jail. If somebody comes in and they are struggling with substance abuse, we're required by law to provide them treatment. So we're already doing it. All this grant does is it supplements that funding so we can use general fund dollars elsewhere in the jail's budget. So we're already doing it. It's just how do we want to pay for it? That's what this grant kind of fills that void.
I would make an exception to that comment. I think it also obligates us to another party once we accept the other party's money.
That's fair. The other thing is, it sounds like the elephant in the room is not going to get fixed in a month.
We're going to continue working on it. You and me and the board and the sheriff, we're going to work on it.
Yes. Like I said, I'm not going to discount this scenario that happened. I did catch information from emergency management that we had a flare-up towards Agnes that did require some attention. I did receive an email from Sheriff Ward prior to the meeting saying that he was not going to attend, and I reiterated the importance of attending. So, he may have been intending to and got called off. I'm not going to assume otherwise, but we will, like I said, make sure that we will set a special meeting to get this done. We just need the sheriff in the room to get those assurances that we will be able to successfully administer the grant. I understand that you're providing the service, But administering the grant is different than providing the service. So that's what it shouldn't be too complicated of a conversation. It's just a conversation that needs to be had. So thank you. Thank you. Okay, so with that, move on to item C. Item C is the Community Resource Officer intergovernmental agreement with the City of Brookings to provide services in Harbor. And this is something that we have been looking at for a little while. We've had several different joint workshops with the City of Brookings on this. It is something that I think the city and the county are both very interested in providing this service. You know, I want to read a couple of things because, so for those who don't know, we have also budgeted in the county for a full-time community resource officer. We've had some interest in the position. I don't believe that any interviews have occurred, but it is a vital position. It is what I have been calling kind of a force multiplier, because if there's somebody dedicated to working with the transient population on issues related to that population, then it eases up the duties to the deputies to be able to work on other more maybe significant issues. And so this is a big multiplier in terms of efforts. And so I want to read just a couple of points from the agreement. Both of you have been in the workshops. We've discussed a lot of this, but
I had a chance to read the contract too. Right before the meeting, so.
Perfect. The community resource officer, the purpose of this is in the contract itself. The purpose of the CRO is to offer community outreach services that will enhance the accessibility and available resources, including prevention and intervention measures for individuals suffering from the results of opiate, and other substances, to spread awareness of its effect to the general public, and to request law enforcement to respond to calls for services in situations where officers on duty sees a need for assistance related to opioid abuse. The assignment of the officer will be a half-time position. So they will be working 20 hours a week in Harbor on this, to meet this need. The duties. The CRO will work to assess problems experienced by the unhoused population and identify ways in which assistance and resources can be provided. Additionally, working with law enforcement agencies, the CRO will establish a process to assist patrol to refer affected individuals to the CRO program for assistance and support. Specific CRO duties included, but are not limited to, creating and maintaining a community rapport with all individuals, respond to questions from the public regarding the program, and participate in opioid and substance use disorder trainings, interventions, and rehabilitation referrals, and placement applications to support affected individuals. Act as a liaison between local health and other community programs and the public to enhance awareness of available resources to those in need. Maintain a close working relationship with representatives of local agencies such as ADAP, ODHS, VA, Social Security Administration, ORCA, etc. Assist law enforcement with response to mental health and substance abuse emergencies as requested. Act as a resource to patrol officers when they encounter individuals who need resources. Seek out and engage with individuals in need and attempt to connect them with appropriate resources, including housing, mental health programs, opioid, and other substance abuse prevention and recovery tools, suicide prevention materials, veterans assistance, and meals. Schedule regular outreach and education events to provide information to the public regarding the program. And then there's general duties of the officer. So this is a sworn officer. And so, as you can imagine, the duties of the officer are what you would expect of an officer. So this is it is a fairly specialized role. And I think this is going to be very advantageous. And I anticipate that when we get the full-time CRO position filled, when the sheriff chooses to make that position whole, we will see county-wide consistency, which is the goal. Right now, in my opinion, one of the things that does not help our cause is that every jurisdiction has a different set of rules, and it becomes very difficult for those enforcing those rules. If the folks on one side of the bridge have a rule and then they go across the bridge and it's a different set of rules, it makes it difficult to have any accountability or expectation. And with this, we can have a linear expectation, from Brookings going south, and then with the full-time position that we have already budgeted, we can incorporate more accountability and expectation consistencies throughout the rest of the county. And I can't express how important this is, not only for the deputies, but for the officers in each one of our communities. This is a force multiplier for those officers as well. I mean, this is truly affects cities and counties alike. And so I'm glad we were able to take first steps. So with that.
Thank you, and thank you for your hard work on this, and thank you also to the City of Brookings and BPD for helping help put this together as well. And
yeah, they've been great collaborators.
They've been a good partner with this, and like you said, this is hopefully the first step to helping improve public safety.
So I didn't get to read it before, and I was just going through it a little bit while you were talking. So the service footprint will be how big?
The service footprint will be basically the harbor area as identified by, I believe, the water district, which essentially is the majority of harbor. So they won't be going essentially necessarily upriver. That'll be for our full-time CRO, CRO to manage those. This will be kind of the 101 corridor down Benham, across over Port, that window of
80% of the population in harbor, probably.
Correct.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, I think it'll be, I think it will be great. And it's also being paid for through opioid funds, which, this is a great asset, or a great way to spend those funds. And I will say, we're not the only ones. There's multiple jurisdictions who are using these funds in this exact same way. And so that's why I feel really confident in moving forward with this program.
Well,
Excellent.
I'm grateful too for Brookings' willingness to partner. That's
Yes. The one thing we will have to do, I will mention, the one thing we will have to do is we are going to have to take our ordinances and make sure that they are linear with the cities so that we are consistent. And so I believe they are. I believe they're really close, if not very much identical. But we need to evaluate that just to make sure. And that will probably, if there are changes to be made, we would probably be making that at our next meeting.
Yep.
Okay.
and the pathway, so that if we have friends who live in the harbor, when will our friends begin to see a difference in terms of coverage down there as a result of this?
Well, I think it'll be as soon as we execute the contract. So I believe that once we vote to approve the contract, we get our end signed, and then they will then present it to their city council for their final approval, and then we will be able to move forward.
So then we need to make a motion tonight so we can get our signatures on it.
Correct.
I think so.
Okay, so then with that, I'll make a motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement between Curry County and the City of Brookings for the Community Resource Officer Services position.
And I second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Commissioner Coker?
Aye.
Commissioner Hollinger?
Yes.
And I as well. All right, next, public safety update. We don't have any present for that, so we will move on to Director of County Operations update.
Ted a call.
I will.
Hello.
Hey, Director Fitzgerald, we are at the Director of County Operations update.
Yes, sorry, I gotta figure out how to turn the volume up on this other thing, but I was just listening to the meeting, so here, I'll just move away from it. Okay. Okay, go ahead.
So, one of the things that I had asked Director Fitzgerald to kind of prepare, that I would like to actually expand the discussion on a little bit more, is some of the goings-on with the farmers market located in Harbor. And so, I have, obviously, I don't know about you two, but, this is a topic of major concern by a lot of individuals, and I think we need to have some pretty in-depth conversations regarding this and information. But I know Director Fitzgerald has gotten a few things, but this may warrant, and I do believe it does warrant, its own meeting, whether that be a workshop or a special meeting.
Okay.
But go ahead, Director Fitzgerald.
All right, I'd like to, the things that I'm reading on Facebook, obviously not an accurate source of news, but that's where most of us are getting our information, including some of our local newspapers, apparently. We've basically, there seems to be a power push going on right now that I believe, because the perception is that the commissioners are under some sort of stress, that they might be able to pressure the commissioners into intervening in a planning and building department context to basically allow the current vendors market. I'm not going to use the word farmers market, because in its current iteration, a farmers market is essentially a farm stand, and that's what was originally applied for. And so right now, I just want to, before I go through the timeline, I want to clarify that the Board of Commissioners and or myself at this point, none of us have been involved in this discussion beyond offering to help and having been rebuffed. These issues arose out of operation of a vendor's market that purports to be a farmer's market that came to the attention of the Oregon State Fire Marshal, which then Oregon State Fire Marshal then brought that to the attention of our Curry County Building Department, because that's how Oregon State Fire Marshal achieves enforcement of their issues. So I just want to go through a timeline. It's not too short, actually. I'll just start. July 28th, 2021, a planning clearance was approved for an agricultural building to be used as a farmer's market on an agricultural farming district zone property. That was an easy one simple form that's filled out, and that was approved. August 1st, 2024, that was more than 3 years later, the Deputy State Fire Marshal, Aubrey Krause, first contacted the farmers market to perform an annual fire inspection. At that inspection, several dangerous violations were observed and documented in fire and life safety. Notice and order of correction was given, dated October 2nd, 2024. October 2nd, 2024, the Curry County Building Division was notified of the issues and that order of correction. October 2nd, 2024, Mr. Yock, the owner of the property, was directed by the Deputy State Fire Marshal to contact the Curry County Building Division for permitting and corrections. That's 11 months ago now. August 3rd, Supervising Deputy State Fire Marshal Mike Shaw sent the Yocks an email laying out his understanding of the situation and explaining the corrections that he would require, and expressed his willingness to work with the Yocks to get compliance. That was back in October. That we jump forward. The next date is January 6th, 2025. The Deputy State Fire Marshal advised the Building Department of Curry County that her boss wanted the Building Division to red tag the farmers market through a phone message that was left at the Building Department. February 19th, 2025, the Curry County Building Division, along with Supervising Deputy State Fire Marshal, met on site of the farmers market, the farmers market, and Richard Yock, the owner, to discuss the minimum requirements to get the market structure occupancy acceptable. April 7th, 2020, so about 2 months later, Supervising Deputy State Fire Marshal sent an email to Mr. Yock expressing disappointment that no follow-up or attempt had been made to address the situation, and informing him that the Curry County Building Division would be tagging the building on April 30th, 2025, if contact with the Building Division and permit application submittal had not been completed. April 23rd, 2025, an entrance cover was constructed on the front of the church next door to the farmers market without a permit. Also on April 23rd, 2025, Supervising Deputy State Fire Marshal forwarded a message received from Mr. Yock asking for an extension of time to escape being tagged, by claiming that he had not had the time and didn't realize that there was a specific timeline. April 6th, 2025, Richard Yock submitted a building permit without payments and was informed that day that without paying at least the plan review fee in advance, the county could not and would not process the permit. May 23rd, 2025. After many attempts from the Building Division to get compliance and many conversations both in person, on the phone, and through email to help Mr. Yock understand the violations and the process to move forward, a dangerous building tag was posted on the building. Jump forward to August 6th, 2025. A pre-application meeting with the Yocks and their attorney, the Planning Division and the Building Division, was held at Curry County to once again go over the path forward to compliance and what minimal requirements had to be met to reopen the farmers market building. Those requirements have not been met to date. So I have the complete I have the complete transcript of that pre-application meeting of August 6th. It's our planning consultant went through in detail with Ty Wyman, who is the land use attorney for the Yocks, Richard and Jessica Yock, Garrett Thompson, the building inspector, Dylan Younger, a building plans reviewer, and Alicia Busman, planning assistant for Curry County. It was a lengthy meeting. They covered every issue outstanding. They proposed alternatives. The transcript is available. This is a public document. Anyone who would like to be fully informed on the county's involvement to date should get a copy of that. We can make that available at the Curry County Building Department if people have questions. I just want to say that in all of that I just related, the county commissioners were never consulted, never were involved, nor should they have been. If the county commission intervenes in the lawful activities of a state appointed building inspector, that will create liability for the county and also for the individual commissioners. And I would strongly oppose any such action. And I'm here to tell you, no no such attempts have been made. The Board of Commissioners has not been involved. Now, could the Board of Commissioners be involved down the road? They have to be cognizant of their role, because in the event that the Yawks do decide to proceed within the law and proceed with a planning application, that planning application may be challenged by members of the public. We don't know, but that's the law, and that would go before the Planning Commission, and possibly both the Curry County Board of Commissioners, and ultimately could be appealable up to LUBA. So those are issues that would be the extent of the possible involvement of the county commissioners. Now certainly, if there was a workshop where people were gathering in good faith to discuss alternatives that could move forward, that would be a thing that the commissioners would be participating in, and we need to be careful, about their involvement in that role, so that we could be looking at things that aren't creating conflict for them. However, I do think that getting the truth out to the public regarding this issue is important, because a farmer's market in a community is very important. We've had one at least in the Brookings area for a long time. It's moved to different locales. This is its latest iteration right now, and I think it's important that if you're going to have a venue for a market where the public comes, whether it's a vendor's market or just a pure farmer's market, that venue be safe for the public to be in. And there's lots of ways we can do that, but people have to be willing to work together in good faith. And I look forward to moving in that direction. And I'm open to all ideas. But anyway, that's my report on that issue.
Thank you, Director Fitzgerald, and I apologize. That was probably really loud at home because I had to put it right up to the microphone so that the people could hear through the speakers. So I apologize if everybody just turned down their volumes a whole bunch. But I would say, so you brought up a point that I had not considered until just now, and that is, I still feel that it's very important that we have this discussion. However, I do know that if we get involved in the discussion and we potentially could hear a planning appeal regarding the discussion, and we have already made our desires known, we could I guess I'm asking as council, could that, or would that put us in a bad position?
I think it could potentially. That's why I think that, I mean, it's unfortunate that what's going on here is that the Board of Commissioners is being scapegoated on an issue which has not involved them at all. But at the same time, you're in the unenviable position of not really being able to defend yourselves or participate meaningfully in a solution that involves this particular venue, because they are apparently in the process of we've received assurances that they want to move forward and resolve the problem. So I would caution the Board of Commissioners to be careful about their involvement in achieving, in proposing even solutions at this point. I do think that I know that county staff who've been involved in this have worked in good faith with the representatives of the farmers market, and I will resist moving forward again in those areas without assurance of acting in good faith by the property owners and the people that purport to operate the farmers market itself. The Curry County employees don't deserve to be targeted and falsely accused of actions that they have not performed. I've reviewed the entire record, and in fact I read most of the entire record that was posted on Facebook months ago. It was posted by the Yawks. So I mean, it was if you read the entire record that they posted, you would understand exactly why they were in violation. But I'm not sure how to go forward when I'm not dealing with actors that will treat my people with respect.
Well, what I would say is this, my initial intention was to ask that we have, a report so that we are fully informed on the process and what's been going on and how to move forward. And I think you have provided a very detailed report as a timeline as to what has gone on. If there's any way that we can help facilitate further discussion in moving forward, I would be all for that. If it assists in getting all of the players in the same room to discuss solutions moving forward, which what I understand the solution moving forward is to put in the permit application and pay for the permit itself, which could have been done months ago from my understanding. But at the end of the day, I guess the point that I'm trying to get to is this is a really long way of getting to this point. We, the Board of Commissioners, it would be very foolish for us to even attempt to ascertain that we can overrule a deputy state fire marshal and a building official on matters of safety.
And me.
And county council, yes. So,
you'd be
I mean,
against all of us.
but it would not be a responsible, it would not be responsible on our behalf to move forward to try to do something like that and assume all of the liability associated with that action. So I'm glad that I'm just glad that we had the discussion. It's been a topic, it's been a hot topic. And I wanted to make sure that we got the information out, the accurate information out. And so I appreciate your timeline that you provided.
Yeah, and I don't want to read the transcript that you have from the meeting, and because I kind of got broadsided by this whole thing, and especially when I hear from several sources that just this past Labor Day at this farmers market, our recall petitioners were there spreading lies, blaming us for everything that's happening here with this farmers market. So they're lying to the people to try to get their petitions signed to recall us. Well, I have that from several sources.
Why would anybody want to lie? What's the motivation?
Well,
because they know it's not truthful.
What I would recommend, and I don't think this is the correct venue to be discussing the recall in any form. So what I would recommend is that you direct me to convert that little report that I just gave into a news release, and we submit that to the public, and that way the actual fact will be out there, and we'll we will continue to persist because we have building inspectors, we have building department employees that are everybody's involved in this, everybody's aware of it, they're all trying hard, everybody looking for solutions, and we have that same thing in the planning department, and I want those people to know that their efforts are valued. Whether it's Garrett or whether it's Penny, these people are all they're all deeply committed to doing what's right, and I want to make sure that they know going forward that the truth about their actions is out there. So I'll be happy to convert that to a news release, and I will continue to distribute news releases that explain that the factual timeline that I just gave you. That's actually what's happened. The amount of time that our building and planning have put into this this particular issue is immense, and those are public dollars being spent. We need to minimize waste going forward, and I think that I just want the public to know that what they've actually been doing. So if you'd like, I'll do that.
I would like.
I would as well. I think you
Yes.
have consensus
Absolutely.
on
Yes.
that.
Please do that.
Please do that. And and I don't want to dismiss the fact that I know several of the vendors. I am I'm friends with the vendors, and I know this whole process has been extremely taxing on them and difficult. A lot of them rely on the revenues that are generated through that, and and it's for them that I really wanted to have this discussion, because they're caught in the crosshairs. They don't. They're the ones who are truly being affected, and they don't know exactly what is the truth. And so, getting this out, helping that. Now, that doesn't mean it helps them financially right now with their shop, but at least they have some information that is factual. So, thank you, Director Fitzgerald, on that. Do you have any other updates that you'd like to provide?
Well, I actually do have a weird one that I think everyone should know about. I don't know what kind of a scam is going on here, but as you know, properties have been occasionally go into foreclosure by the county for non-payment of taxes, and there's a list of those properties. There's a long process that is it's remediable, and most often is people will sometimes forego paying their taxes for a variety of reasons. They just don't have the money 1 year, and they have to get their resources together. And so the process for property actually being foreclosed on and deeded away is arduous and long on the county's part. It's not a thing that is something the county's trying to do, and also Oregon law has recently been modified to improve the rights and protections for the taxpayers that are put in these unfortunate circumstances. So their safety net's bigger than it used to be. But yesterday we had a report in our office that in the county council office that a woman up near Cedar Valley who owns one of these properties was approached by a truckload of men in a red Dodge with a rack on it, and they said that they knew her property was in foreclosure, and they'd been directed by county council to come start removing her property. I wanted to make the public aware that is out there, and that's completely unfounded. I'm not familiar with the truck. We did ask that she report that incident to the sheriff's office, so hopefully that will be being investigated. It's a very strange claim, and I don't know. To be honest, I don't know how this is a foreclosure from some years ago. I'm not exactly sure how you would even have access to that information as to whether a person was being foreclosed on or not, unless you went out and did a specific search of an individual property. So I'm hoping the sheriff's office will look into that, and I'm concerned, and I just want to make sure that the public knows that county council's office doesn't have that power, and also is not participating in whatever sort of fraudulent action that may be.
And so, for those, I got a little bit of this backstory, and from what I understood, the folks they were ready to give over some of their assets to these gentlemen until they called to confirm that county council had actually sent people out. They were apparently, I believe they were trying to take their vehicles into possession.
Yeah, that's what we heard.
And so, you know, this is a whole new level of you know, robbery. And so just be diligent, be aware. If somebody comes and asks you something and it just does not feel right, just verify. Always verify. So, thank you for that. Okay. That's a great update. Anything else?
That's it for now.
Okay, I'm actually going to have you stay on because I have one in my portion that I want to discuss that I think you will add value in the discussion about. Okay?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Next is Commissioner Update.
Well, then, since you have Ted on, do you want to do yours first?
I certainly can. So I want to give you guys an update on the audit, the forensic audit discussions. We interviewed another agency today. We will be interviewing a third agency later this week. We are hoping to have a proposal prepared. Most likely, we will have a proposal prepared for BOC consideration at our next meeting. And I think this will be a very important step in fully understanding our finances. Our treasurer has been continuing to find errors in our treasury's payouts to different districts. There was a recent one that he found 2022. So they are still they're still as relative as they were when we first started discussing this. So this will be, I think, it's going to be vital. It's vital. It's vital for our financial stability moving forward. We need to know that the money in our treasury is actually supposed to be in there and not supposed to be in some district's account. And we also need to know that if there's money that's in a district's account that's not supposed to be there, that should be in the treasury, that we have that cleared up as well. So we will be moving forward with that. And I want to thank staff for all the effort and hours they've been putting into preparing those discussions that we've been having with those agencies. So
Look forward to seeing a proposal.
yes, and the last thing is we need some clarity and direction. So when we adopted the budget, we adopted a few positions in the sheriff's office and some dual positions. Like I mentioned before, the community resource officer position is still available. There have been some interest in applications that have not been interviewed. However, they're still very viable. But one, the animal control / civil, the civil processor. So this was a topic of big discussion during the budget season. And it was agreed upon that it would be somewhat of a dual role. And we had agreed as to what those roles would be. And we've had multiple applications come in for that position, and the sheriff is refusing to entertain any of them, nor participate in the application or hiring process. So, with that, we, as a board, need to prepare for the upcoming supplemental discussions, and this is a topic that I would like you to consider how we move forward with providing the service or if we redirect the funds to a service that we can actually hire and provide. So, you know, we don't need consensus. We don't need answers. I just want you to be aware. I have been working personally involved with this, with HR, and they have been looking for direction because we do have individuals who have applied, I believe 4 to 5, that we need to either set up interviews and prepare to move forward, or we need to reclassify the position, reallocate the funds, because right now the funds sit in the sheriff's office. We need, if we have to reallocate the funds to a position that we can move forward with and hire, then we shall. What's really concerning, what is additionally concerning, is that I am aware that we've had a very difficult time with all of our civil processing. I believe there may have been very limited civils that were processed in the last month and a half. That is a mandated duty. Mm-hmm. And this position was, again, supposed to be a force multiplier to take that off of the deputies' shoulders so they could be out providing patrol.
Well, the civil is mandated, but we're also an animal district, and that's mandated as well.
Yes, so, yes.
So, is there a reason why he's not wanting to choose to interview? Because, when we had our budget workshop to discuss this, it was discussed, and that we would be helping out the way we've been doing it, under the county's, animal control program that we've kind of been officially, not officially having, until that they were able to find somebody and hire somebody over there, and then which we would then transfer all of that to the sheriff's office. That was my understanding from conversations that we had during those workshops.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
So, no. But I will read to you the discussions that we have had. So this was the most recent. So HR was working with the sheriff on these positions. She had several, like I said, multiple applications. This was the response that HR received. We are not accepting these applications. I was not involved in the process, the job announcement, or the job description, and this whole thing was being forced upon us. Maybe you should respond to the applicants who applied and let them know that the position isn't available. Our focus is to hire corrections deputies and get our patrol deputies back on the road. If the BOC wants this position of animal control filled, they should look elsewhere, like maybe setting up code enforcement and putting it under that office. For now, you do not need to send these applications for animal control civil process server to us. Sheriff John Ward. So
if I recall correctly, during the workshop, that was brought up.
Yes.
And
he
he requested that he review the job descriptions.
And he did.
And he did.
And he worked with HR.
Okay.
And they did work on the job description. All that is correct.
Okay. And now he's still just refusing.
Correct. So, something to keep on the radar. Like I said, this isn't something we need to be making decisions upon tonight. Okay? Wait, hold on. Just 1 second.
Sorry, I'd like to clarify. HR, I did not get a response from the sheriff to work on the job description. He had seen it during that meeting, and I sent it to him afterwards and made the changes that you guys discussed during that meeting, but he did not respond to me when further clarification or changes were
Okay.
asked.
All right, thank you. Director Fitzgerald?
Yeah, I was going to say that the sheriff is, the sheriff may have promised to and given assurances that he would cooperate. He's not bound to keep his word and has not done so. But the only way that we could move forward, if right now, if you recall, my department did did agree to, based on his assurances that he would cooperate, my department did agree to handle animal control for him while he was staffing up. I am uncomfortable using dollars that are allocated for the sheriff's office. That's something that office should be performing and doing that with those. If it wasn't allocated over to my office, I don't want to be accused of I've gotten enough false accusations from the sheriff's office over the last year or so that I don't need any more. So we have a couple of ways we could go. One, you could do a supplemental budget and move that money back over to us, or if you wanted to, actually follow work under your own authority, and if the idea, which I think was a good one that was proposed, that this position would be created to support, to take the weight of the civil processing and animal control off of other people's backs and just focus it on one person, then what you need to do is change our ordinance and make, right now the mandate for animal control is a mandate of the county, okay? But the commissioners, by changing the ordinance, we can mandate that animal control be performed by the sheriff, if you would like to do that.
Right, it would be in an ordinance form, correct?
Right, yeah. And that would remove the question, and then continued refusal to perform the mandated duty would be, I guess that would be official misconduct.
Yeah, I just, I'm not going to belabor the issue, and I'm glad that we're having a discussion because it needs to be had, and we have to come up with a solution, and we got to do it before our next supplemental because we have to get these services provided. And so I'm glad we're starting those discussions. The discussion that is really upsetting is that, that the sheriff's animosity towards the Board of Commissioners is preventing us and him from providing additional services to the community. And that is, that needs to be addressed. And that's not okay. We have the CRO position that's been funded that is, he has the ability to hire and promote and discipline. And just because we budget those positions doesn't mean that he has to do that. But we're talking about force multipliers that increase service and also decrease unnecessary burdens on our deputies so that they can provide more patrol. And this issue of animosity, of tug of war, shouldn't be, in my opinion, it shouldn't be affecting the service delivery to our citizens like it is, and it is. I mean, I want to go back. We initially budgeted for the community resource officer in the sheriff's office in 2023. That is a position that, if had been filled, would be, well, I could probably assume to say that we wouldn't be having as many issues as we have been regarding our transient population, and they probably would be receiving better services, and had been. So this issue is, that's what really bothers me. It's one thing to have, interdepartmental struggles, it's power struggles, those are things of that nature, but when it affects service delivery and outcomes, we are here. We show up. Every 2 weeks you have an opportunity, generally. And that, it is frustrating. So I wanted to get that out, and I also wanted to, because HR doesn't know how to proceed with these individuals who have applied, and we have to figure out some kind of an answer. And so if we can provide some direction, maybe by our next meeting, that way we can prepare for it in a supplemental, and our finance department would have some preparation in doing so with some direction from the BOC, then I think we should. So,
For clarification, at this point, civils are still being handled by deputies, to the extent.
and volunteers.
And volunteers.
Yes. Yep. Yep. But I did get a report, and there's an enormous amount of civils that aren't being processed. And so that bogs down an entire different system.
Of course it does.
So, okay, that's all I had. Commissioner Coker.
Yes. Director Fitzgerald, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. What I'd like to be able to do is to put on the front burner with my colleagues and you at one of our upcoming meeting is the bridge issue that we had discussed a couple weeks ago. I'd like to be able to present to them an outline of the critical path for getting an understanding of the nature of work, the scope of work, the approach to getting third-party help, those sorts of things, and then, of course, some kind of profile relative to the amount of money that it's going to cost us to undertake stuff like that. Is that doable? Can we look these guys in the face tonight and say that we can get that done, or is it just too much to do?
No, I think we can do that. I think what you and I talked about, the first step is request for qualifications so that we can get an engineer of record on at the road department and for the county in general. That'll be a engineering firm, probably one of the ones that we've worked with before. Might be Dyer and Associates, might be somebody else, but somebody that has experience with bridges in particular is something we're going to be looking for. So I would, if you'd like, you can give me a consensus, and I can go forward for a request for qualifications for that type of engineer, and that person will, or that organization will be kind of the focus and the driver for developing these infrastructure repair projects.
I'm open to that. How about you fellas?
Yeah,
I would
totally welcome it.
We
Yeah.
do that. Yes.
Yep.
You got it, Mr. Ted. Thank you.
All right. Okay. We'll get it out.
Item number 2, Director. The Sea Cadets letter to the news release that I had circulated. It had a vacancy of who's going to be the Curry County contact, if anybody wants to talk about that. And I think everybody may be so stretched. What I'd like to do is, if it's enabling for whatever period of time is needed, I could be the point of contact for people who are interested in the sponsorship roles, or maybe they want their kids to find out a little bit more about it. I don't mind taking that on whatsoever. It's a temporary assignment. We're eventually going to have to get it married to somebody either as a volunteer and or on staff, but nevertheless, I would be glad to do that if that's helpful.
I'd be for that. That sounds good.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll proceed with that tomorrow, or the next day or so. Thank you very much.
You bet.
Okay.
Okay.
No item number 3. Okay.
I'm trying to be merciful.
Well, I've got 3 items,
Oh,
so
no.
you know. Here we go.
Oh no.
So I'll start with the timber.
I saw the end. Now the end just faded away.
Yeah, so I just want to reiterate again that the timber discussion went into further detail back from our August 1st and our August 6th meetings. So please, you could reference that as well. But I will reiterate that again. There is no federal land lease. This is a good neighbor, good neighbor authority agreement, and I'll just read out some bullet points to you as to what some of this agreement will entail. The purpose of this Master Good Neighbor Agreement is to provide the framework and to document the cooperative effort between the parties, which would be Curry County and the Forest Service, for authorized forest, rangeland, and watershed restoration services in accordance with the following provisions and any supplemental project agreements, SPAs, executed under the Master Good Neighbor Authority. The additional purpose of this agreement is to facilitate a cooperative, sustainable timber harvesting and restorative forest stewardship program in National Forest System lands within Curry County. The agreement hopes to accomplish the following, and that's to help facilitate sustainable Forest Service timber sales, generate revenue for Curry County as well as the USDA and Forest Service, intended to support economic development within Curry County, to support local Forest Service district operations for staffing and for Forest Service road access and improvements, coordinating with the Forest Service to support and enhance public land improvements through the development of projects set forth in the Rogue River Siskiyou National Forest Schedule of Proposed Actions. For short, they call those SOPAs. To support sustainable land management and stewardship of public lands. To reduce wildfire risk through active management, habit restoration, and invasive species mitigation. To comply with Executive Order 14255, which is the executive order that the Trump administration signed the first part of March for timber harvesting. Provide an opportunity for Curry County to also set the standard for stewardship and proper public lands management in conjunction with state and federal entities. And the Forest Service and the federal government, they're going to continue to own the lands. They're going to oversee management of their lands. We're going to work side by side, collaborate with them, as well as other state agencies in order to put plans together in order to move forward. This isn't something where the county is going to go rogue and just do everything ourselves without any oversight or accountability or anything like that. So I just want to blow that conversation completely out of
Can I ask
further conversation? Yeah.
A question. So would this be an ample opportunity to establish a natural resources committee?
Yeah, of course.
So maybe
and I'd want to have
is the avenue for public outreach, because it is difficult. I understand it's difficult for people to keep up on all of our public meetings and all of the ongoings. And I mean, I can barely do it, so I can't expect many of you to always be doing it. So
but I also want to explain again that we've had discussions over the past 8 months regarding this. There has been lots of public outreach and comment regarding concerns or ideas. We've taken all of those into consideration, all of them, and that's how we've gotten to this point here.
Yeah.
So, we want to have a sustainable timber harvest that we can help with the Forest Service through collaborating and working with them to create more. They want to do more. They need help. That's where we can be of assistance to them as well. We want to continue with the implementation of projects such as reforestation, thinning, wildfire mitigation, wetland and habitat restoration, invasive species mitigation, as well as promote and collaborate on other stewardship projects to maximize the use of our public lands.
Yeah. The watersheds.
All of the above.
Got it.
All of the above. But anyways, it's those are the things that we're working on with the Forest Service now. Director Fitzgerald and I actually earlier this afternoon had another meeting with the Forest Service, and we had the opportunity to meet with our new district ranger here in Gold Beach, Matt Waterston. Great guy. Comes from the logging industry. That was where he spent a good majority of his career. So he knows the ins and outs of the logging, the importance of logging, And it was nice to have him part of the conversation. They also had an idea of bringing in the Oregon Department of Forestry as part of this contract as well, and that would be a first of its kind for the state of Oregon and a Good Neighbor Authority contract. And the reason for doing that is to help further define scope of work in literally everything that's going to be, whether it's reforestation, thinning, wildfire mitigation, wetland restoration, et cetera, et cetera.
But also, wait, I just want to clarify.
Yeah,
it's
go ahead.
actually not a, it's not a contract.
It's an agreement. It's an
It's an
agreement.
agreement.
They corrected us on that today. Yeah.
But Oregon
It's an
Department of
agreement.
Forestry is going to be they're reaching out to Oregon Department of Forestry so that because ODF has experience with the implementation of the fiscal side of this, and we obviously have a whole lot to learn. So we're going to be taking lessons from anybody that we can get, and so we're looking forward to talking to that representative as soon as the Forest Service hooks us up with them.
Yeah, and I've received contact information this afternoon, and we'll be setting up another meeting, Ted, here in the next few weeks with those parties to further develop this agreement.
Well, thank you for clarifying.
Excellent.
Yeah.
You seem to always have to clarify after I open my mouth.
Well, I have to.
Because I'm the one I think that starts.
Doesn't help when you have reporters as well who want to continue to stir the pot.
I take ownership. Go ahead. Item number 2.
So, item number 2. I don't know if you both or Ted received this email this afternoon as well, but I wanted to bring it up because I think this is an important email. And it's from our DA. And I'd actually like to read the email. So he says, Commissioner Hollinger, I write to make you aware of a severe cut from the Victims of Crime Act grant that funds my victim advocate office. Currently, I have one full-time victim advocate director and a part-time victim advocate. Victims of Crime Act is a federal grant that has consistently funded the victim advocate office since before I came to Curry County almost 10 years ago. To date, no general fund money has been used to fund this program. We were given notice last month that this grant was to be cut nearly 80% in the grant year starting October 1st, 2025. This stems from the federal government restricting grant funds to states that do not follow federal immigration enforcement rules. Oregon's status as a sanctuary state makes us ineligible for these funds that are imperative in helping crime victims. To be clear, these funds were already slated to be cut due to overall federal spending cuts, which we're prepared to absorb to the best of our ability. However, the information regarding the 80% cut came as a huge surprise, and we cannot absorb that kind of cut. The current grant funds will not even cover one full-time employee in the victim advocate office, let alone the money needed for resources and services provided to crime victims. There is an ongoing litigation at the state level regarding this issue against the federal government, but as we know, that will take quite some time to play out. And he would like to discuss with us options moving forward.
So jump in there.
Yeah,
so
please.
I've already met with him.
Okay.
Director Fitzgerald happened to be present.
Okay.
And I think we problem solved it. So essentially what we're going to do for them, we didn't problem solve it, but we triaged it.
Okay.
So instead of having to cut the program ASAP, he has a deputy DA position that hasn't been filled for quite some time.
You're going to move that money?
We're going to reallocate those for now. Mm-hmm. And then if we get a deputy DA qualified applicant, then we're really going to have a more difficult conversation. But right now, those funds aren't being expended for the position that they were allocated for. And so we can use that to move that forward.
Okay.
So.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for the update.
Yeah.
And the last item I have Bear with me while I pull it up here.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Sorry. I should have had this one in my queue here. All right, well, as I think everybody in our community knows, there was a tragic boat accident that was Sunday night. It hits really close to home. I knew all three guys personally, and it was a very tragic, unexpected accident. And unfortunately, two of the three men lost their lives. One gentleman was rescued, and he was rescued by my partner that I have my nonprofit with. He was actually the first one on scene out there for the distress. They were able to rescue the one gentleman. Due to poor ocean conditions, they were unable to rescue the other two, which is very, very sad and very unfortunate, because I was very, very close with one of the people who passed away. Over this past year, I've been trying to advocate very hard to get the Coast Guard presence back here in Gold Beach and stationed here in Gold Beach. I've had assistance with the Oregon Marine Board, facilitating conversations with the Coast Guard, and essentially kind of falling on some what I would perceive as deaf ears. Conversations where, Coast Guard hasn't had funding to staff there, and the last, I want to say it was 5 to 8 years, they haven't been present here on the Rogue River. Whether it's personnel, whether it's funding, whether it's conditions, whether it's bar conditions, bar meaning the delineation line between the river and the ocean. And we have poor bar conditions, which make it very difficult for their larger boats to come and rescue people. However, their smaller Defender boat can be stationed there. Being at the Port of Gold Beach as well, we've even offered to keep their boat there in the water during peak season, from July through October, when there's the majority of boats in our river. There's the majority of boats that go out in the ocean. But their response is no. Our response times from Brookings and from North Bend to get down there we think they're sufficient enough. Well, they weren't sufficient enough on Sunday because their response time was about an hour. You're not going to live for an hour in 50-degree water, trapped under a boat, banging on the hull to be rescued. So I'm really disappointed. I'm really disappointed in the Coast Guard and in those who have not taken this as a priority as I've been trying to make it a priority for the last year. I sent another email today to the Marine Board, essentially just begging again to what the heck else can we do so that this doesn't happen again. If the Coast Guard was stationed, all three men would have lived. All three. So I want to read you my email just so I'm transparent with everybody on my email. And it's not the most comfortable email, so I apologize. It says, good afternoon. As I'm sure you're already aware of the unexpected tragic boating accident that occurred Sunday evening, August 31st, of a commercial tuna boat that capsized with 3 men on board. Unfortunately, 2 of them passed away. I personally knew these men, and this tragedy hits home very hard. Knowing the details of this accident and its location and proximity to the entrance of the Rogue River, there is no doubt that if the Coast Guard stationed their post in Gold Beach, everyone would have been rescued and survived. Response times were too long coming from Brookings and from North Bend. There was no chance of survival in that cold ocean water. Fortunately, my partner that I have my nonprofit with was able to be the first responder to the scene. He and another friend risked their lives to go out and try to save these men. They were able to rescue one, but with the rough sea conditions, excuse me, they could not get to the other two that were trapped and pounding on the hull of the boat from the inside, the flipped boat. It's sad knowing that that sound will haunt those gentlemen for the rest of their lives. We need to continue our conversations with the Coast Guard for seasonal stationing at the Gold Beach Post. July through October is crucial, as that is the busiest time of year with the greatest number of boats in the mouth of the river and in the ocean. What can we do to partner with you and the Marine Board to continue our lobbying efforts to the Coast Guard? We need their presence here during these months to help ensure safety and prevent the loss of life due to delayed response times. Thank you for your attention, and we appreciate the continued support with the Coast Guard. If anybody listening to this and everybody here, send messages, please, to the Marine Board and to the Coast Guard, lobbying for our station to get staffed again. They need to be here. That's all I have. And, just emotional. Sorry. It's very, very tragic what happened.
Pat, would you consider leading us in a moment of silence for the men that have lost their lives and their families?
Yes, and if those who don't know, Sam Waller passed away. He was a close friend of mine. I'd known him most of my entire life. He was great to my family, great to my kids. So he was a wonderful grandfather, and he was supposed to be a grandfather again any day. And so my heart pours out to his family and to all of our friends and the whole community. And another gentleman, his name was Jared Bruner. He was from Cave Junction, and I had the opportunity to meet with him several times. He was, he'd like to come fishing, and he always was on his boat with his son and his dad. And so to know that, I won't get to see, both of those gentlemen on the river anymore it's difficult. And please keep the families in your thoughts and prayers. And, if there's support in any way for those families, please help and support them. And, yeah.
Can you set our timer for a minute, Jay, and share with the public this quiet time?
Sure. Yeah, we'll have a moment of silence for these gentlemen. Thank you. I'd like to actually close on a statement that I wrote as well. Okay, thanks. Leadership and vision is about seeing beyond today. Our responsibility is not only to address the challenges before us now, but to help chart a new course that strengthens our county for future generations. Vision requires courage, and courage requires action. action to invest wisely, to protect our resources, and to ensure that opportunity and prosperity are shared by all. Our future will not be defined by chance, but by the choices and decisions we make together. And a quote I put together is, "Leadership is about planting trees whose shade we may never sit under, but our children will." I want to end with that.
Okay.
Thank you, Pat.
Well, with that, we will go ahead and end this meeting. It is 8:19, and we are adjourned.